Chicago is home to one of the oldest rapid transit systems in North America. Known as the Chicago L, the network consists of 8 lines serving Chicago and several surrounding suburbs. The system includes elevated railways, subways, and at-grade sections, and operates 24 hours a day on its 2 busiest routes. In this video, we'll explore the fascinating story of the Chicago L, from its origins in the late 19th century to its role as the backbone of public transportation in modern-day Chicago. Along the way, we'll discover how this system operates and what the future may hold for one of America's most recognizable railways. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to Railways Explained and enable notifications so you don't miss future videos. If you'd like to support the channel, you can join our Patreon, check out our merchandise, or purchase the Railways Explained ebook. Links can be found in the description below. Now let's get back to the story. The origins of the Chicago L date back to the late 19th century. Rapid population growth, industrialization, and increasing congestion on city streets created demand for a faster form of urban transportation. The first elevated railway line opened on June 6, 1892. Operated by the Chicago and South Side Rapid Transit Railroad, the line connected Congress Street in downtown Chicago with 39th Street on the south side. The route was approximately 3.6 miles or 5.8 kilometers long and initially used steam locomotives pulling wooden coaches. The line was later extended to Jackson Park to serve visitors traveling to the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition. A second elevated railway opened in November 1893 when the Lake Street Elevated Railroad began operations west of downtown Chicago. Initially operated by steam locomotives, the route was electrified in 1896. The third major line opened in 1895 under the Metropolitan West Side Elevated Railroad. Unlike earlier routes, it was designed from the beginning for electric operation using a 600-volt DC third rail power supply. During the 1890s, Chicago's elevated railways operated independently. Trains terminated at separate downtown stations, requiring passengers to transfer between systems. This changed in 1897 with the opening of the Loop, an elevated railway circuit around Chicago's central business district. The Loop connected several previously independent railways and became the operational center of the system. During the early 20th century, additional routes were constructed toward Chicago's northern neighborhoods and nearby suburbs. The Northwestern Elevated Railroad reached Wilmette by 1912, while the Ravenswood branch was extended to Kimball Avenue in 1913. In 1913, the city's major elevated railway companies were brought under common management through the Chicago Elevated Railways Collateral Trust. Through running between previously separate lines began later that year. A complete merger followed in 1924 with the creation of the Chicago Rapid Transit Company, commonly known as CRT. Ridership continued to grow and reached approximately 229 million annual passengers in 1926. The Great Depression created major financial difficulties for the privately owned system. The CRT entered bankruptcy in 1932 following the collapse of Samuel Insull's utility empire. Although readership increased during World War II due to fuel rationing and wartime employment, years of deferred maintenance left much of the infrastructure in poor condition. To address these issues, the Chicago Transit Authority was established in 1945. The CTA officially assumed control of the rapid transit network on October 1, 1947. Following the takeover, the CTA introduced a series of modernization measures. Several lightly used branches and stations were closed, fares were standardized, and streetcar operations were gradually replaced by buses. The CTA also invested in new rolling stock. The 6000 series entered service in 1950, while the 2000 series followed in 1964. Major network expansions continued during the second half of the 20th century. The Dan Ryan branch opened in 1969, extending service to 95th Street. The Blue Line reached O'Hare International Airport in 1984, while the Orange Line opened in 1993 and connected downtown Chicago with Midway Airport. In 2006, the CTA introduced the Pink Line as a separate route designation for the former Douglas Branch service. Today, the Chicago L consists of 8 color-coded lines operating over 224 miles, or approximately 360 kilometers of track and serving 146 stations. The Red Line is the system's primary north-south route. It operates 24 hours a day between Howard on the north side and 95th/Dan Ryan on the south side. The Blue Line also operates around the clock. It connects O'Hare International Airport with downtown Chicago and Forest Park. The Brown Line runs from Kimball through Chicago's north side and into the Loop. The Green Line connects western suburbs with destinations on Chicago's south side using entirely elevated infrastructure. The Orange Line provides service between Midway Airport and downtown Chicago. The Pink Line operates between 54th and Cermak and the Loop through Chicago's west side. The Purple Line connects Wilmette and Evanston with Chicago and provides express service during weekday peak periods. The Yellow Line, also known as the Skokie Swift, operates as a short shuttle service between Skokie and Howard. At the center of the network is the Loop. This elevated railway circuit remains one of the most important parts of the system and allows trains from multiple lines to serve downtown Chicago. Major transfer stations include Clark/Lake and Roosevelt, where passengers can interchange between several routes. The Chicago L carried more than 200 million passengers annually before the COVID-19 pandemic, but ridership patterns changed significantly during the following years. The graph shows ridership trends on the Chicago L between 2015 and 2025. Between 2015 and 2019, annual ridership declined gradually from approximately 242 million to 218 million passenger journeys. The most significant change occurred in 2020 when ridership fell to 76 million trips as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic and the widespread adoption of remote work. Since then, passenger numbers have increased each year. Ridership exceeded 100 million trips again in 2022 and reached approximately 138 million in 2025. Despite this recovery, passenger volumes remain below pre-pandemic levels, indicating that travel patterns in the Chicago metropolitan area have not yet fully returned to those seen before 2020. The Red Line is the busiest route in the network, carrying around 131,000 weekday passengers. Special events also generate significant increases in demand. During festivals and major events in downtown Chicago, ridership can increase substantially above normal levels. The Chicago L uses standard gauge track and a 600-volt DC third rail power supply. Approximately 80% of stations are elevated, while the remainder are located underground or at ground level. Trains can reach a maximum operating speed of 55 miles per hour or approximately 90 kilometers per hour, although actual speeds vary depending on line characteristics, station spacing, and operating conditions. One of the main factors affecting travel times on the Chicago L is the presence of slow zones. Slow zones on the Chicago L are a recurring operational issue. A slow zone is a section of track where trains must operate at reduced speeds. These restrictions can be caused by a variety of factors, including poor track conditions, structural problems, signal issues, insufficient power supply, or construction work taking place on or near the railway. The most common cause is deteriorating track infrastructure, while signal-related issues and construction activities account for a smaller share of restrictions. As of May 2026, slow zones covered approximately 17% of the entire network. The Douglas branch of the Pink Line, the Evanston branch of the Purple Line, and the Inglewood branch of the Green Line were the only parts of the system operating without any slow zones. To address this issue, the CTA has launched several infrastructure renewal programs across the network. The largest of these is the Red-Purple Modernization Program, which aims to replace aging track, stations, viaducts, and signal systems on the North Side Main Line used by the Red and Purple lines. The first phase of the project was completed in 2025, while additional upgrades are planned for the future. Another major initiative is the Forest Park branch rebuild on the Blue Line. The Forest Park branch is one of the slowest parts of the network, with more than 80% of its track classified as slow zones. The project includes extensive track replacement and infrastructure upgrades intended to improve speeds and reliability along the route. The CTA has also modernized passenger information systems and expanded the use of real-time service information through digital displays and mobile applications. As of 2025, the Chicago L fleet consists of approximately 1,564 rail cars. The newest generation of rolling stock is represented by the 7000 series cars. Introduced in the early 2020s, these vehicles are gradually replacing the aging 2600 series fleet and are expected to become the backbone of the system for decades to come. The trains were supplied by CRRC Sifang America, a subsidiary of China's CRRC, after the company won a major contract from the Chicago Transit Authority, outperforming Canada's Bombardier. The contract was not without controversy, as some officials and security experts raised concerns about potential cybersecurity risks, including the possibility of malware, cyber attacks, or surveillance linked to Chinese-made technology. However, key software, computer systems, and train control components were supplied by US and Canadian companies. The vehicles are assembled at a manufacturing facility in Chicago's Hegewisch neighborhood, marking the first time in more than 50 years that CTA railcars have been built within the city itself. The first 7000 series trains entered passenger service in 2021, bringing improved reliability, modern passenger information systems, enhanced accessibility features, and greater energy efficiency. The initial order includes 400 cars intended to replace the oldest vehicles in the fleet, while additional orders could eventually allow the retirement of other older train classes as well. The 5000 series fleet, built between 2009 and 2015 by Bombardier Transportation, remains a major part of daily operations. These trains introduced AC propulsion systems, LED destination displays, and improved passenger information systems. The 3200 series was built from 1992 until 1994 by Morrison Knudsen of Hornell, New York. These cars have fluted stainless steel sides similar to the now retired 2200 series. The 2600 series was built from 1981 until 1987 by the Budd Company of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. After the completion of the order of the 2600 series cars, Budd changed its name to Transit America and ceased production of rail cars. With 509 cars in operation, the 2600 series is the largest of the 4 series of L cars in operation. The cars were rebuilt by Alstom of Hornell, New York, from 1999 until 2002. The CTA plans to retire these trains gradually as additional 7000 series vehicles enter service. Fleet maintenance takes place at several facilities across the network, including Wilson Yard on the north side, which was rebuilt as part of the Red and Purple Modernization Program. Fare payment on the Chicago L is handled through the Ventra system, introduced in 2013. Ventra replaced the older magnetic stripe fare media with a contactless payment platform used across CTA rail and bus services. Passengers can pay using a Ventra card, contactless bank cards, mobile wallets, or the Ventra smartphone application. The system also supports various pass products and allows transfers between CTA services within a specified time period. Unlike many European urban rail systems, the Chicago L does not use fare zones. Instead, the same fare applies regardless of the distance traveled, whether a passenger is making a short trip within downtown Chicago or traveling across the network. Reduced fares are available for eligible groups, including seniors, passengers with disabilities, and students. Accessibility remains an important focus for the CTA. As of 2025, 109 of the system's 146 stations were fully accessible, with additional upgrades planned under the All Stations Accessibility Program. In addition to the mentioned modernization projects aimed at reducing slow zones and improving reliability, the CTA is also planning network expansion. The most significant project is the Red Line extension, which will extend the line approximately 5.5 miles south of its current terminus at 95th Street. The extension will include 4 new stations at 103rd Street, 111th Street, Michigan Avenue, and 130th Street, bringing rapid transit service to parts of Chicago's far south side that have lacked direct rail access for decades. After many years of planning, the project entered the federal funding phase in 2022. Additional funding commitments followed from federal, state, and local sources, and in 2024, the CTA awarded a $2.3 billion construction contract for the extension. Advanced construction work began later that year, while a full funding agreement was signed in early 2025. Groundbreaking for the extension took place in April 2026. Once completed, the project is expected to become the first major expansion of the Chicago L network in several decades. Service is currently scheduled to begin in 2030. Other proposals remain under consideration. These include the Circle Line, which would create new connections between several existing routes, as well as potential extensions of the Orange Line beyond Midway Airport and the Yellow Line north of its current terminus. That brings us to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to Railways Explained, and let us know in the comments which railway system you'd like to see featured next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.